I have the pleasure of talking to Sheilisa McNeal Burgess, founder of Fria Jewelry, a patent protected, innovative cooling bracelet designed to help women experiencing the discomfort of menopause. She is changing the way we imagine technology to reimagine and manage what many women experience hot flashes. Sheilisa is a 2019 winner of the New Voices Pitch Competition, managed by New Ventures. She started the business in 2016 and going to market in 2021. She increased the presence of her business and positioned herself as a game changer, developing a product that has revolutionized the way women experience menopause. So I'm going to talk to Sheilisa about her journey towards business ownership, her why, wisdom for product-based businesses, and really what it takes to stay in the hustle. Thanks for joining me, Sheilisa.
Well, first of all, that intro, if someone parrots back to you your accolades, right? Or your accomplishments and your achievements, you hear it differently.
That's
Like
true.
I have been in this space for a long time, and I've told you many times, Felicia, that I didn't even give myself credit for having accomplished anything until I got my patent. That happened in 2021. Been 6 years in this game by then, right? But now when I hear it back, I'm like,
You're like, wow, you the doggone thing, girl.
you just did. I'm like, and you're still doing. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I just really want to start off by saying thank you because as a woman experiencing menopause, I am so glad that we are now having conversations, but moreover, we having products that are really intentional about this thing. Like this is not something that our mamas, our grandmamas talked about and you just go through it. I just had a doctor's appointment and I was like, ooh, this menopause. And she was like, yeah, it's a real thing. And it's not like that I was expecting her to have this magic bullet, right? I just felt like maybe I just needed to voice it out loud that I'm having a moment. And I'm having these moments at this time in my life. So really, Sheilisa, talk to us about like, how did you get here?
I was hot. Okay. Literally. So I guess when I was about 40, and just let me preface, I'm not one of them people that's afraid to be like how old you are, right?
Right,
So,
right, right.
what, you know, so a long time ago, when I was 43, I had a hysterectomy. And my doctor at the time said, I'm going to leave your ovaries to delay the onset of menopause. Right? She told stories because 3 years later, it came with a vengeance. Like, it was so crazy about the word menopause. It's such a daunting word to us as women. And I'm so grateful now that we say it a lot more
Yeah.
freely. In 2016, when I first started, and a long, long time ago in Atlanta, far, far away, when I was 46, at first, started having these symptoms. I didn't know what it was. I just was like, why am I all of a sudden hot? Like, and it was crazy. I teach too, so I'm an adjunct at NYU. I'd be in the middle of my class, and all of a sudden I
Like,
got
whew.
sweat here and sweat up my arms, and I don't know what I was talking about, right? I forgot
And did you have the
because
memory fog too? Like the memory
so
thing?
I get brain fog per se. Well, okay, I had a moment of brain fog, and I'm gonna tell this story quickly. So I was in my house one day, and it was really bad. And I said, "I need my mind. I need my mind. Take everything else, my mind." Bad of a moment was having. And have to say that from that moment on, I really never had the brain fog. I was like, see, God listens to prayers because I must have been so. He was like, get up, because she is not good. She is not doing well. So, um, back to I was hot. I would get these flashes, and nobody told me what to expect. Right, my mother, nobody told me anything
Nobody
in the
talks about it.
circles that I'm traveling in. Somebody's like, "Ooh, you 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 got it's that it's what they call it
Change.
change. And I'm like, what I'm changing into? What am I what, what am I transforming into? And how long does this last? Because this is uncomfortable. So that's how it started. And that must have been like 2012, right? And I had just got married.
Like,
My now ex-husband, the business. What is going on here? And I don't be like, listen. And I'd have like a pillow fort between us, right? Because his body was really hot. And I'm like, you come across this pillow fort, I promise I'm gonna kill you. You will
pillow
die.
is the barrier.
Yes, because he had all his body heat. And I'm like, you're making my flashes come with this heat. Just like, you just inviting them. Like, don't cross this pillow fort. Obviously, what explains why we exes, right? So, um, all going through all of that, I woke up one morning in 2016. So that was 4 years after I was going through the drama. And I had the idea of cooling jewels. I was like, what's that? And people don't understand how there are real truths to the concept of divine inspirations. Even if you're not a religious person, even if you're not a spiritual person, you might get an idea or what some people might call a download. It won't let you go. It just won't.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know what it was going to turn out. Felicia, I'm thinking about cooling jewels. What you going to say to me? What's that?
What this come some kind of where do you get that?
Exactly. So I didn't know what it was going to be, how it was going to manifest. I didn't know anything. That's the God's honest truth. But I knew that I was hot. I didn't like being hot. I knew I didn't want to have a medicinal intervention, right? So I didn't want to take hormones. I have a health history that I was never even able to take birth control pills. So I was like, I don't know what another set of hormones will do to me, but it probably wouldn't bode well. And I'm like, if this is what my body is supposed to go through at this life stage, I want it to do whatever it's meant to do, but I just need to be more comfortable while doing it because I got stuff to do. And that was just the fact. That's just how my mind went. I got stuff to do. I need to be able to just get to manage so I can continue handling my business. And then I started pursuing what cooling jewels could become.
And so, Sheilisa, I appreciate that there are more products on the market. And
Yes.
so thank you to all those people who are innovative enough to say women in menopause need something. And so with the increasing number of products on the market, how did you set out for your product to be different?
To be honest with you, because I didn't have that much forethought, right? And at the time when I started, there weren't a whole lot of products on the market like there are now. There was a lot of cooling things, towels and fans and a lot of things. But I was very specific. Like, I want something that doesn't announce to the world that I'm in I'm having some challenges with overheating because there's a judgment that comes with it. There's a judgment that comes with being in menopause. There's a judgment that comes with the word when we first started, and I was just trying to gather facts, right, and start talking to women, there was a visceral response to me saying the word menopause, right? And they was like, "Oh, no, 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 it's not me. Like, I'm not. It's not. I'm not in that time yet. No, no, no." And it was so consistent, and I was like, "What is wrong with you? Like, girl, you just told me you flashed in, but it's not. I'm not that time." And then I kept digging, and I realized that menopause is associated with aging, right? And we live in an anti-aging society.
Yes,
So we're not
yes.
about to embrace a word or a life stage or anything else that says you're getting old because now you're less relevant, you're less sexy, you're less desirable, you're less, you don't got your mind right. It's all of those negative things. Every product on the market for us, cosmetically and otherwise, is anti-aging, 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 anti-aging. And I was like, I want to age. Do we want to just be a bunch of beautiful corpses and say, oh, she died at 40, but she was so pretty? Or do you want to have the fullness of life or whatever your longevity is and just have a good quality of life? So I was on the latter, right? I'm like, I want a longer life. I don't want to die a beautiful corpse. I hope I still look half decent by the time I leave this life, but I want whatever life has for me. And I want to get there. And I want to not worry about this aging thing. And if somebody thinks that I'm less desirable, these things
You're
are
like,
okay. I also
like,
thought we need to have honest conversations, right? Nobody wanted to talk about it. I said we did like these women on the street, and I was like, "What your mama tell you about menopause?" Nothing, and she didn't go through it. At least 100 people. We was like
you
this.
want to do like this.
Like, did your mother, change a little bit? Was she all of a sudden hot in front of the refrigerator? Did she become bipolar all of a sudden? Because there's a lot of transitioning that happens at this stage, which we call midlife. And they'll attribute all of those things to mama, but it wasn't menopause. And she was like, she didn't go through that. I didn't go through it, and my mama didn't go through it either, but maybe Nana mama did. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's outside of you because you don't want to embrace what the connotation is. That needed to change. Like, we need to change that. We need to change that dynamic. It's a normal biological function if you were born female. Why we need to keep pushing under the rug stuff that's normal biological functions?
Need to really embrace, I mean, this is a subject, this is a conversation for another day, but this whole aging thing, like, how do we embrace aging? And, like you said, everything is about anti because we don't want to go through what aging brings, like,
Why?
all the
Why?
challenges. And so I just remember, talking to my mom about menopause. She was like, oh, mine wasn't that bad. I was like, but what?
They didn't go through it. I didn't have no hot flashes. And I used to watch sweat drip off my mother's nose, okay? Her nose. I'm like, you ain't even doing nothing. Right. What are you talking about? But I realized, and if I said hot flash, everybody responded okay to the word hot flash. It was the word menopause
Yes.
that got the visceral response. So I'm like, part of the platform that I wanted to do when I started building this business is like, let's have honest conversations that change the narrative behind this life stage so we can stop pretending that this isn't a thing. It doesn't have discomforts, but there's also ways for us to manage it. We get the medical practice in general to give us more information about it so we can make more informed decisions. And why is it that GYN doctors get like a tiny rotation through it? And so either they trying to throw some hormone pills at you or they just telling you grin and bear it. That needs to change. And
Yeah.
that's also the impetus behind what I was doing.
And so, Shalisa, I love your story really about like how this came to be beyond the personal experience of wanting a solution, but really how this bracelet became a thing that in of itself, like talking to people, testing, like you do with any product, really.
So I told you I didn't know nothing, right? And I would talk to anybody who was willing to talk to me. Like if they was even in the realm of doing something cooling related, I wanted to talk to them. And we just kept being connected with people who like, oh, you do cooling wear, you do cooling gear. I'm working with Serena and she's an athlete and this, that. So we kept talking to people and having meetings and then came across a company that I guess would be considered a competitor, but they're not out of the US, they're out of India. And they had a cooling cuff, right? Like they put cooling technology in a cuff that you would wear. And it's like a bulky little thing, right? But I was like, maybe they have the answer to how we should go about building this, right? Because they've already started putting it in a cup. So my partner and I got on a flight and went to India to meet the CEO.
Interesting.
And yeah, I was relentless. I just gotta tell you, like my nickname, relentless. So yep. And my neighbor just happened to be from that same area of India, hooked us up, got us a driver, told us where to stay, went to see this guy to make sure he was legit. Like he said, I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna go see if this is a real factory, if this is a real person. And so we went and it was a great experience, but his tech was not going to work for our needs, like for what we wanted to do. It was electronic and it was going to be bulky. They really couldn't miniaturize it or created in a nano capacity so that it could go into something dainty and pretty like our bracelets, right? Like, and mind you, at the time, we didn't have a design for the bracelets. We just knew what we thought we might want them to look like eventually. And they still needed to be small and, like unassuming, like an accessory, something that worked well with your outfit so that you'd wear it. Be like, oh, I got on this little cute bracelet and it just happens to have this secondary.
Incognito.
Because everybody wants discreet, they want discretion. I don't want anybody to know what I'm going through, especially if you're in a professional environment. I don't want I don't want to wear a device that somebody's going to be like, you fell down and can't get up. You know what I'm saying? Like something that looks like a device. So I'm like, no, we need to integrate it into the norm of an aesthetic, a style aesthetic. So his technology wasn't going to work, but it was a great learning lesson. And then the talking kept going. We kept talking to other people. I had part of my vision and dream is I was like, my technology is going to come out of MIT. And so when the guy from India was from MIT, I was like, I knew it. I knew it. This is
Now, Sheilisa, I'm curious, why MIT specifically?
Because MIT is known for having such advanced technologies. Like their innovation lab is top notch. Like it is creme de la creme. Such amazing things come out of MIT just because that's who they are. And I just was like, yep, it's gonna come out of MIT. This guy was from MIT. I was like, yep, this is it. And then when it wasn't it, I was like, how could I have been so wrong? And we kept talking to people, connected with the heat thermal transfer team that were doing research at University of Illinois. And I was like, okay, well, this is going to work. Sure enough, the lead of our team graduated from MIT.
Look at God.
Yes. It's like, and it was later. I didn't even know that when we first started working with them and we're developing a technology that was not the norm, right? So now we're entering uncharted territory because everybody does what everybody else does. And God was like, nah, we're not gonna do that. You're gonna use some technology that nobody's ever heard of. It's gonna be real tech, but it's gonna be passive. And then you're gonna have to explain a lot. And I'm like, it takes the dew point of heat away from the body and it works with sweat. I didn't know how to explain it when they first started explaining it to me. And I'm like, well, they want to buy this. How? And so over time, just through the immersion of that engineering and that technology, which is called evaporative cooling, typically used in giant capacities, like it's typically used to cool like wind turbines and things like that, typically used in that capacity. They were working on like now let's create nano thermal iterations of this technology. And so that's what we started working on. And that's how it came to be. Oh, we got the tech before we got the design. And then I had to
the course of
I don't know nothing about normal, Felicia. Trial, error. I wonder what if then, like all of those things. And people ask me all the time now because they say, you're so fluent in engineering. And I'm like, I became that over time. In the beginning, I was not that. My major was pre-law, basically political science in college. And I got things to do with engineering, jewelry design, heat thermal transfer, those things that would be logical because people figure, oh, you can only do what you were trained to do or what you have a background in. And I'm like, I'm trained to answer and solve problems. I'm a mother. I had kids. Problem solving is what I do all day, every day. I like solving problems. This is a problem. I like creating ways to solve it. Necessity is the mother of invention. I'm a mother, therefore I know the necessity of inventing things to solve problems. And I didn't let anybody deter me from that.
Great. That's great. And Sheilisa, since the last time we talked, Fria has really expanded impressively, I will say. And so you've expanded your network. Every time I've talked to you, you're like, I'm applying for funding.
Yeah.
I've met these new people who are going to take Fria to a whole nother level, increase your visibility. How did all that happen?
Tenacity. So you have to be, to me, very in tune with the circumstances and environments you find yourself in. I never know what nugget I'm going to glean from an environment that I fortunately might get access to. And I don't like getting caught up in the whole idea of, oh, I don't have a lot of access. I have as much access as I allow myself to have because I come across professional people all the time. I'm in academia, all of these things. You never know where you're going to find an inspiration that takes you another step or another increment toward the goal. And I was on this auditioning for this show called Entrepreneur Elevator Pitch. And there was a woman there that was also auditioning. And she started telling me about how the government funded her research for her startup. And I was like, what? Like, what? Like the government does that? Yeah, they support novel innovations and yeah, so they do. And she was explaining to me what it was, and she's like, yeah, we got like a grant for $1 million. I was like, you got a grant for $1 million? About this? You were like leaning all the way in. And then once I found out about SBIRs, I'm like, oh, they're gonna give me some money. I was determined. Had never I'm a writer, but I had never written a proposal of that magnitude before. Initially, it was rejected, right? But the reasons for our rejection were so subjective that I requested a conference to like bring that to the attention of the directors and of the program. I'm like, this isn't fair to us based on what you said the guidelines of the program are. We had this conference and they said, you're right. They were not objective comments. We invite you to resubmit, take into account all of the legitimate, feedback and rewrite your proposal. And our second proposal was successful.
Wow. The hope is that people who are listening to your conversation are really people who might be in your shoes, who might be on the cusp of trying to start a business or even trying to kind of maintain themselves in business. And so, what would you say were some of your, you spoke to some of your challenges, like around you didn't know what you didn't know, and I would imagine that a lot of business owners, people who are starting to start businesses, they don't know what they don't know, right? Like you stumble into this, you're pretty surprised and you're like, wait a minute. I just want to have this thing and I just want to sell it, right? And I want people to just be bowled over about my idea. They think it's the greatest thing since it landed on this planet. And so, what has been some of your ongoing challenges, really aside from funding? Because we know funding is a universal kind of challenge for all businesses, particularly businesses of color.
Right.
And so, what are you finding there?
The biggest challenge was fear, to be honest with you. I keep harping on the I didn't know what I didn't know concept, but that made me fearful. I was very trepidatious in so many aspects because also what I was doing does not have a whole lot of precedence for me to fall back on to be able to use that to move forward. So I was really afraid of a lot of things. I would also say that, and I say it often, and some people take it differently, but to me, when you're building something, business or anything, it can be an isolating existence or isolated existence because maybe your circle don't rock with what you're doing or they don't necessarily believe in it. You have to believe in yourself so much to keep moving forward. And there are days when you might be really good at that. And then there are days when you're not. And so I would say that, believing in what I was doing myself was probably my earliest hindrance to progress. Especially because initially I'm like, I don't even understand technology, right? And then I was like, I'm going to learn it. So now it's taking me longer. My curve is longer because it is important for me to learn every aspect of what I'm doing, from the tech to the design, to the purpose, to the nuances of this particular demographic. Now so it's just like being in college again. And I put myself there. And then people keep giving me new fodders of information, but you can't just take it at that verse. You know how people go to the Bible and take a verse and be like, this is it. Right. I'm like, but what was the verse before and after that? Like, so you keep it in context. Keeping in context what I was learning was also challenging. And that fear, like, am I doing the right thing? Am I going in the right direction? And then being afraid to pivot sometimes, not pivot away from what I was doing, but to try a new avenue of thought. I would probably exhaust the one that I'm like, this is not working, but maybe if I do this, or maybe if I do that, and instead of going, all right, change direction. So all of those, that to me, I would say my biggest hindrance in the beginning was fear. I'm nowhere near. I wish we could have gone to my original, like one of my original interviews with you, because I don't believe in fake it till you make it, but I know that I have a different energy now than I had then. And it comes from just having a different sense of knowing. What's also beautiful is that I don't think of the other players in the market as my competitors per se, but validators, right? Because these other companies that were making tech wearables validated that the concept of what I believed I could do already works. Because I'm like, oh, you doing it the same way, you just doing it in a different delivery modality. So now you have buoyed my spirit as opposed to me being fearful about, oh my God, they're going to beat me to market. There are 8.5 billion people in the world. Half of them are women. 4.250, right? How many of them do I need to be my customer to be successful?
Exactly.
100,000 of them bought my bracelet at its current price. I'd make over 10, $12 million. So I didn't have the fear of competition. I had to be cognizant that other people were also acting in the space. But as long as you walk down that bread aisle and there's 25 different brands of bread and they refill it and restock it every week, because there are people who like Arnold's, and then there are people who like Kinder, and then there are people who like Pride somebody or another. And I like, but as long as that's the case, then there is going to be somebody who prefers to have a pretty accessory delivery modality as opposed to a device. So that is also what keeps me out of the mindset of fear of what somebody else is doing now. But in the beginning, oh my God, I was scared of everything. Like, people gonna steal your idea. Like, everybody put fear in me. Don't tell anybody they're gonna steal your idea. I'm like, if I don't tell anybody, who's gonna help me? Like, how can I can't not tell people and get help. I don't know how to do that. And so this journey has been amazing and stretching and just like the best. I wouldn't change any of it, even having to struggle to figure out how to fund it, how to invest in myself. All of those things taught me so much that to get to this point today, where I can't say that we've arrived, Felicia. Like, have we done a lot better than we were when I first talked? Yes. But have we arrived to some kind of market saturation? No. But do I think that we're on the right trajectory? Absolutely. And I now feel confident enough to go, and I'm gonna take it to the end. I'm gonna take it there so I could go and do something else great and big that I want to.
I love that. You made a good point about just because there's a product on the market does not mean that your product is not necessary. I think about the number of soaps, the
Yeah.
number of breads, but I mean, just the plethora of the same items. When you think about the marketplace, you're like, so how is yours different? And so you sit with that. And so a lot of times they really aren't that different. It's just price point, or it's just how it looks, quality. It's so if you peel back the onion, it's really not a lot. So I like that point that you made, that just because it's already out there does not mean that you don't create it.
Right.
So, we talked earlier that your product is patented, which
Mm-hmm.
says a lot about a product, right? It gives a little bit of a little bit more credibility. And so what was that process like?
Girl. Now, so keep in mind, I come from like academia. Like, I have a mindset of like a learner. And I was like, we got a patent. So we started the patent before we did the product. Like, so the patent took a couple of years, but I was like, you have to patent it now. And that process was, we worked with a bunch of lawyers, and just really having to hone in on the specific intricacies and nuances of a new use for an existing technology. So our technology is evaporative cooling. I told you it was already in the public domain when we started working with it, trying to create a nanothermal version that can be integrated into something even smaller, like dainty, like jewelry. And that's where we started from that mindset. How is it different? And what's the utility? So we have a utility patent that's very like, yeah, we got good expansion opportunity on it. But what really took us over the top is our lawyer also was an engineer.
Okay.
So he had all of the knowledge necessary to like his practice he was a patent attorney. But because he was an engineer, he understood our technology.
Yeah.
And that helped tremendously with, there were a bunch of like hurdles and, things that they made us correct or fix or come back on. And he understood those. And so, yeah, after 2 years, because we filed it initially in 2019 and it was issued in 2021. And I think I told you before, I'm like, that's when I finally thought I accomplished something. But not giving any credence or, you know, love to all the steps of that journey that got me to that point, I was like, nope, this is the creme de la creme. This means that I actually got something and it's worth something and it's gonna be, it has potential. But yeah, that journey. And I encourage all entrepreneurs, if you have some type of intellectual property that is very unique to whatever it is you're creating, patent it, trademark it. Because even if people say you have little protections, you need whatever protections you have because that's just the way the market works in terms of like goods that you're producing. You want to patent it and you want to really work with somebody who understands what you're doing so that when they're writing that patent, it actually has the ability to expand to other verticals or other uses within the body of your patent. And what I've learned now is that even now what we're working on as we plan to try to go into the 2.0 version of our R&D, there may be new IP that comes out of that. So it's not even like the current patent will expand. We'll probably apply for new ones. We will apply probably internationally. So you just learn the process once you've done it the first time. But I would say that's a really important point.
That is good because I would have never known that you had to go back and apply for another patent for an improved product.
It depends. If it's an improvement, you just amend the current patent. But if it's new IP, like if it's like something else you added and it's a total standalone technology by itself that you develop, then that's a new patent.
Lisa, no, you've come a long way. You've come a long way. And so what do you wish you knew when you started that you know now?
There's so much. How long you got? I wish I knew that it's okay if people don't believe in you, because I have to say that we all want validation, especially if you're doing something that hasn't been done or you have never done. And it can be beyond discouraging to be in certain circles and you're already feeling however you feel about what you're doing. Like you might be, in my case, I'm like, I might have already been fearful and I'm like questioning and do I know enough? Have I learned enough? But when you're in circles of people who you would think, hey, we're peers. We're all trying to, find our gravy train in the process of these innovations we're creating or whatever it is we're building as businesses. And people don't believe in you. Like sometimes your own family doesn't believe in you. That's difficult, right? And you have to be able to move past it, do it anyway. So I told myself all the time, do it afraid. Like, okay, you scared. You don't do it afraid. Do whatever it is you're afraid to do it afraid. And I wish that I didn't allow myself to be so impacted by the comments or lack of support from other people or whatever it was, because that's valuable time I can't get back that I could have been pouring into, like the advancements that I was seeking. So I guess that's one of the things. And I really don't know how you overcome that. I guess it's really a part of the journey that you really need to go through. So it strengthens you and strengthens your foundation and backbone. Wish I did know that, because then it wouldn't maybe not have impacted me for so long. I also wish I was a lot more familiar with the concept of what does access really mean. So we get really caught up in either you do have access or you don't have access, you do have resources or you don't have resources. And for a minute, I was like, really, I felt stuck, because I'm like, how am I supposed to do the thing I need to do if I don't have the money I need to do it? Or if I don't have the connections that I need, if I don't have this and I don't have that. And now I realize that's where ingenuity comes in, because despite what you don't have, if you can still achieve your goal despite not having the things that might make it easier to get to your goal, that's where the stretching of who you are as a person and your capabilities are. So I guess most of the things I wish I knew were more about like personal development, mindset. It was more along that. I guess I wish I knew what I was doing in terms of like technology and engineering. I didn't even necessary aspects of the process. Really, it's mindset, I would guess. I guess I wish I was more versed in managing and controlling my mindset around what I'm doing, so that I did not retard my development, and by that I don't mean it in a negative way, but I just mean like that it's developmentally delayed because I feel stuck.
And so, what are you most proud of since you've launched Fria, and what keeps you motivated?
The transformation in me.
Mm, okay.
If you had told me before I started this, the mindset I had when I spoke to my friend and told her I didn't know how to build a business or create it, if you had told me then that I would be here today, yeah, I'd have been like, no, I'm not. Like, how's that happen? I don't really know what to do. So I think I'm really proud of my professional and personal growth as a leader, just understanding how important it is to learn to manage people in a way that also helps them grow. So I've used throughout this process a lot of interns, right? Because they cheap and they usually really smart in certain areas of technology. But it also taught me there's a difference between being a boss and being a leader. So a boss, like you just giving orders, right? And you expect people to honor your orders. But I'm like, a leader is trying to build up the people you're leading so that as they move forward with the advancement of my vision, they also are moving forward in developing themselves to be ready for that next step of their own personal endeavor. So I'm really proud of my evolution in that aspect. I'm proud that people say that most businesses, it doesn't even matter if you are a business of color or not, they don't last beyond 5 years. And people are always so shocked when they see me, especially if they saw me early on. They go,
You're still here?
yes. And that makes me happy because that speaks to perseverance. And like I said, my nickname is Relentless. And I'm really proud of the role model I'm setting for my grandkids and the kids in my family or the other people. I get to talk in other circles a lot and to impart what this journey was. And if it inspires even one person, I'm proud of that, because this is not easy and it's not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the person who quits because something is hard. But I can inspire somebody else to not quit because something is hard, then maybe I've served my purpose.
You know, entrepreneurship is tough. And I've said that for a long, long time. And I never say that I'm a business owner. I say that I support business owners. And it's a tough journey. What do you say to other women, particularly women of color? Because I think that we're going to see this explosion again of business ownership.
Mhm.
What do you say about like staying in it and women who want to, start this journey?
First, I would say you need to be so focused. So, what is one of my superpowers is that if I have put my eye set on a goal, I don't turn to the left or the right. I am this. I don't add other things in that's going to distract me. So first you have to decide what it is you want to do and be willing to know that there is flexibility in learning. A lot of times we want like immediate gratification, but it depends on how big that vision is. So maybe you are using your natural skills of hair and skincare and all of those things, but do you want to be a side hustle or do you want to be Estee Lauder or Shea Moore? Tell me what you want to be. You need to decide early on who's gonna you gonna just it's gonna be your little normal environment, your radius is not gonna be that grand and you're gonna be okay with it because it's a side hustle. There's with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But decide what it is you want to do. I knew because I said this was divinely inspired that it was meant to be bigger than me. I was meant to not understand everything. I was meant to not understand the technology. I was meant to discover every aspect of it. It's meant to be bigger than me. And no, it wasn't a side hustle because it's been what I do 100% of my time for a long time. Even if I was teaching, my teaching was the side hustle, and this was my main job. And you have to devote yourself to it. If you're not going to devote the time to it, that will reflect in what your progress is. And I say that to people all the time. And you can't have have 19 different hands in a bunch of different bowls. Which one do you want to succeed? Energy flows where attention goes. If your energy is dissipated to a bunch of different places, then you're not going to take this where you say you want it to go. Your focus is important. And then don't be afraid to, and failing is a part of the journey, it's okay. It's a real important part of it because it teaches you either what not to do, or if you need to go in a new direction. It doesn't mean you are a failure. It means this direction doesn't work. Try something else and then allow yourself like a minute to be able to be like, so what else? I get inspired by so many things. And so like conversation. I had a conversation a couple of months ago for a problem I was thinking about, like, how are we going to do this, that, and the other thing? In one conversation, he was like, yeah, you could do this, 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 and this. Da, 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 da. And I was like, yes.
You're like,
He was like, how do I stay motivated? Stuff like that. Because I might not be able to fathom what is going to answer the problem I'm having, but somebody else can pour into me just a drop. And then it's like, oh my God, why didn't I think about that earlier? Yes, now let me write it into my plan. I'm a real big person that believes in Habakkuk 2:2. Write the vision and make it plain. Write the vision and make it plain. Write it down. What is it that you're trying to do? By when do you want to do it? Be very specific about it because that's going to sort of be your guiding blueprint to help you make the strides you're making, to let you know if you're making any progress. Write it down. And I'm big on vision boards. So I have a humongous vision board in my closet where I pray. And on that board is all the things I want to do and see. And when I get to achieve something, I'm like, it's going to happen. I was like, I want to go here. I want to do this. And I'm like, I did that. And it just manifested because the vision was plain for me to see. So I'm going to say, as women of color, we ingenious. Stop letting other people tell you you're not. And I think about all of the amazing inventions that people use every single day. The majority of folks have no idea who created those inventions, and they don't care. And they don't care. Nobody cares that, a Black man created the traffic light, but we like having traffic lights because it's important. You know what I'm saying? Nobody cares. I don't want to be like, this Black woman did this. God gave me the inspiration. I am a woman. I'm an innovator. I have ingenuity. I have genius. It is God inspired. If it's going to help you, do you care what? Right. Or do you care that it works and it benefits you in the way that it needs to? So I would say let's stop being so focused on like the limitations of our color, because other people are going to limit you. You don't got to listen to what other people say. They might say that you can't do XYZ, but they don't determine what I can do. They don't determine how far I can go. I determine that. And if you listen to the noise, it'll stop you in your tracks. So I would be like, tune it out, put your headphones in, tune it out, and just keep walking forward towards the goal. Because nobody's going to really be able to get in your way more than you get in your way.
So, what's next for Fria? And how can people find you?
Well, so now what we're gearing up for is Fria 2.0, and we're actually creating based on the data and feedback we got from our initial market pilot with the bracelets that we first launched with. Now we've created some new designs that take into account like ways to improve it. So we're going to be doing a crowdfunding campaign on the Launch Boom platform. It'll probably end up on Kickstarter. That's going to be like, okay, it's 2.0. It'll have that our current market is still menopausal women, right? Or women who suffer from hot flashes because they don't like that word still. But we also are going to create a version of it that's meant for athletic or active lifestyles, and it'll be unisex because people tell us all the time, like, I'm not flashing, but I get hot, right? So that'll all be a part of this campaign. And just going through this crowdfunding, it'll be like we're taking pre-orders on this next iteration. That will help us raise what we need to, because I'm really big on non-dilutive funding. It's really stressful in this journey, in this endeavor, to be in debt. Like, you just don't want to have, because on top of everything you got to do, if you have to worry about also being in debt, that's going to really kill your vibe. So I've been always searching for non-dilutive funding opportunities. Like, that's grants, that's, crowdfunding, that's pitch contests, any way I could get non-dilutive funding, because it really takes it a long way. And so that's where we're going next. And it's a big job. Like, you can go to our website, which is fria-jewelry.com. We will actually be gearing up for this. I think our goal is to launch in March. There's a whole lot that has to go into place before we get there. But that's good. That's what's next for us. And we've also are just finished our proposal for phase 2 NSF research grant. God willing, we get that. That's also more non-dilutive funding, but more importantly, it's R&D that helps us to really hone in and improve the technology, really delve into the commercialization of it. So there's extreme value in that. And I would definitely encourage people, like, go online and look up SBIR and see if you might not be a viable candidate for that kind of funding too, because it's going to help you tremendously. I feel a lot more ready, a lot more confident, a lot more exuberant about it. I have much higher energy. And I know it's going to be, a game changer and a blessing for so many people, even outside of the ones we are currently serving. And that really is what wakes me up every day.
You all heard it here. The new product is going to launch uh, in March. Is that what I heard, Sheilisa?
So the campaign is going to launch. Yes, the campaign for it, and people will be able to see what the new iterations look like, and they'll be able to make a reservation to purchase it.
Sheilisa, this has been amazing. I have learned a lot, and I hope that our listeners have learned a lot. And so before we close, I ask everyone this. What are your word or words of wisdom for staying or starting in the hustle?
Just don't quit. If you have what I call a burning desire for something, don't wish it, don't poo-poo it away. Don't quit. Don't quit. You'd be surprised what you manifest when you don't quit. Like, and all of us probably get these amazing ideas and we start to think of all the reasons why we can't do it. But if you get that, don't give up on it. Don't quit.
Thank you, Sheilisa, for joining me